Peace, peace, peace. What's up? This is Jay Dizzle, also known as Nettercat. Today, what I want to do, as you can see from the title, okay, we're going to get into that. That's a little bit of clickbait, but not really. But what I really want to get into is three main topics. That's critical thinking, conspiracy theories, and propaganda. Understand how these things tie into each other, and hopefully like help people on the journey. I know a lot of people that's going to watch this are going to be people who are like, quote unquote, conscious community, or those who are woke, whatever that means. And I understand the process, and people develop at different levels, and there's chambers to this, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna give you an example of why I know I can relate to some people and why this conversation is relevant, and why it will help some people navigate through and be able to clearly think about things and process information a little bit better without always jumping on the quote unquote conspiracy tip. Now, I'm not saying that conspiracies don't exist. Of course, we know conspiracies exist. We've lived through conspiracies. Slavery was a conspiracy. It was people conspiring for a particular outcome. But let me just give you an example. And this is why I could relate, and why I do understand like how people develop and they start thinking about these things. And sometimes it gets overwhelming, and sometimes it gets to the point to where it's counterproductive. So let's take you back to 9/11, right? September 11th, 2001, when the Twin Towers were hit. And then I fast forwarded to about 2003-ish, when I first started getting information about the fact, and these were scientific facts, that there's no way that those planes could have made the building fall down. It's just not possible scientifically. Now, before that, now understand, I wasn't hip to YouTube at this time. When I was getting this information, I had to actually download it from peer-to-peer places like LimeWire, iMesh, Napster type of thing. And when I started getting this information, it was like overwhelming. Like, imagine someone thinking that those planes really made the Twin Towers fall down, and then start doing some investigation and getting firsthand accounts, like things that were live on the media at the time that have since been taken down. And then you start realizing, oh shit, this government is capable of anything. But of course, if you're melanated, you already know that, because what we've been through is worse than any kind of, you know what I'm saying, conspiracy that we speak about now. But the point is this: I understand that when you first learn these things, it makes you think anything is possible, right? So if the Twin Towers didn't really fall the way they said they fell, and that it was definitely a demolition and not a terrorist attack like they're saying it is, after that, anything's a go. So then you start getting all this information, and anything's a go. I remember after that, or at the same time, or maybe a little bit after that time, there are all kinds of different things that are going on. And a lot of these things target us in ways that we don't really understand and consciously see. So I remember when it was the thing, and it still is the thing, and I'm going to show you an example of this in a minute, to where anytime a black person does something great, it's always accredited to them making a sacrifice, worshiping the devil. They have to be gay. It has to be anything except for they worked hard and they actually had talent. And this is really interesting coming from people of religious faiths. Because when they're saying that, they're basically saying that the devil is stronger than God, and they're not giving God credit for anything. Now, don't get me wrong. We know the Rainbow Crew helps each other, and we know that disproportionately those who are presented in the media and in entertainment are disproportionately, especially for our people, disproportionately have to be tied to the LGBT, or at least allies, to say the least. But to say that Jay-Z or anybody who really made it only did so because they did some type of sacrifice or they worship the devil is to say that their talents aren't real. Like, I've seen such ridiculous things as Michael Jackson, James Brown. Oh, they had to worship this and that to get to where they're at. So you're basically dismissing all their hard work, their talent, and you're dismissing God or the universe by saying these kind of things. So you're basically undermining the power and talent and potential of us. And a lot of times people do this, which I'm going to show you with this. The real example I want to show you is Steve Harvey. But a lot of people do this because they can't relate to the grind. Like they can't relate. Like if someone can't relate to grinding from nothing to something, then anyone who's made it has to be a worshiper of the devil or homosexual or whatever kind of goofy things people say. And that's undermining our own power. And it's not a coincidence that when these conspiracy theories first started off, and I'm not saying that there's nothing to do with that. Like you have to be able to critically think and okay. So we got to be able to differentiate, you know what I'm saying? Like between like a Little Nas X, who we know has no talent, but is purposely being pushed to the front for an agenda. There's a difference between that and someone who's truly talented and really has grinded to get to where they're at. And when we mesh the two, then it's basically us forfeiting our natural talents and abilities. And a lot of people a lot of people would rather say, hey, in order to make it in this world, you have to be this, that, and that. Because if they're not this, that, and that, then what they're saying is they have an excuse for not making it and for not grinding. And that's a dangerous thing to do. It's not only a dangerous thing to do, it's undermining yourself and undermining your people. And it's not a coincidence. Here's what I was really going. It's not a coincidence that a lot of the things that are deemed devil and devil worshiping happen to be from our culture. So the all-seeing eye for a minute, for those who are unstudied and didn't really look into it, the all-seeing eye was the devil for a minute. Pyramids were the devil. It's all Illuminati, Masonic, this and that. Anything that had to do with our culture has been deemed evil. So that's just another way to separate us from our true power, because our true power is our culture. Our true power is our genius that created these things that everyone else reveres. And this is something that is basically like an excuse or a scapegoat for not being able to be successful. And that's a dangerous thing, because you're basically saying the only way you could be successful is if you're homosexual, or if you're worshiping the devil, or if you're sacrificing your children. So who's going to do that? So now I got a reason for not being successful. I got a reason for not getting up every morning and grinding. I got a reason for not seeking more education or seeking a better job or seeking to create my own business or things that it really leads to success. Because it's not going to work for me because I'm not homosexual. I'm not sucking dick, not worshiping devils. I'm not killing babies, doing sacrifices. So it won't work. So now we're comfortable and complacent. That's the same mentality as slavery, where we were taught it's okay to struggle now and build someone else's heaven because we'll get ours later. That's dead now. Now I want to get into, and now I got a couple examples that I wanted to use. I may use, just some Facebook posts that I was, discussions that I was having. This is not to like out anybody. It's just to like help people really think this through, because when it comes to when people are waking up, when you go from nothing to 100 quick, like I said, the example of 9/11, when you go from thinking that those planes really made those buildings fall down to realizing that scientifically that's not even possible. When you grow like that, it's like you think you know everything now. You don't realize that small growth was just nothing compared to the growth and development you still have to do, and the processing that still must be continued in order for your growth and development and consciousness and understanding things. So now let's go to the Buffalo shooting. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do a screen share for this. So let's go to the Buffalo shooting, right? And so now the story is that the shooting, the massacre in Buffalo was to kill a black man who invented water-powered vehicles. And there is some truth to that per se, but then we have to take it deeper and think about it on a critical level. So hopefully y'all can see the screen share. So here's the thing. Did one of, and this is from Skeptics Exchange, skeptics.stackexchange.com. Did one of the victims of the Buffalo shooting invent a water-powered engine for cars? In short, is inventor Aaron W. Salter the same man as 2022 Buffalo shooting victim Aaron Salter Jr.? Yes. Did Aaron Salter have a patent related to efficiency of hydrogen-powered engine? Yes. Did Aaron Salter invent a car that runs on water? Absolutely not. So this is to say this. See, when it's like, you ever heard that the little test that people do where they'll tell a story, they'll tell something to somebody, they'll tell it to somebody. By the time it gets back to you, it's like virtually nothing like what you said. But this is how things develop sometimes. So yes, there is a patent that he created to make more efficiency with hydro-powered engines. Now, to say that that's the reason the Buffalo massacre happened is that's a whole different animal. No pun intended. Because now what people are saying is the reason why that Buffalo massacre happened was just to kill him, and it wasn't really an anti-black racial attack. And it's dangerous for several reasons. Number one, like I said, you're undermining now the other victims. You're undermining the fact that there was a person who was a white supremacist who wanted to kill black people. That was in his manifesto. He likened himself to Dylan Roofs and others. Now, when you multiply that with the fact that 4 days So now when we jump on those bandwagons and we imply, that's not a coincidence that this stuff came out at the same time. Now, when we apply that the only reason that dude went there was because they wanted to kill this man, now you're saying it wasn't actually a racial attack. Now you're saying it wasn't really a white supremacist that was trying to murder our people and that we don't really have to worry about that. That's just as dangerous as back in the days, years ago, when it was very popular that every single police killing of a black person was a hoax. I don't know if any of y'all seen that. I hope you haven't, but it was all on YouTube, all on Facebook, where there's a bunch of goofies going around every time. Sandra Bland was killed. No, she wasn't really killed. It's a hoax. She's not really dead. They're just trying to start a race war. So now, but what you're basically saying is there's no reason to have any efforts to protect ourselves or to demonstrate for justice because it's all just a hoax. They're not really dying. I've heard these things about people who I knew personally who are now deceased. Like people who I know personally who are deceased. There are people who never met these people who read a meme, who saw some video, and all of a sudden they're telling me, someone who knows the family, that these people aren't really dead. It's just a big hoax. That's dangerous. It shows lack of critical thinking. And it shows that propaganda indeed works. Because like going back to the example of everything that's affiliated with our culture being evil, with the same source of this type of information, when they say all these police killings were hoax, it's the same thing. When you do enough research, you find they all come from some white dude on YouTube. And he'll put out some stories, and then other people will run with it. And all of a sudden, you have our own people telling us that these killings aren't real. So basically what you're saying is, no, there's not really any racism. Killings aren't real. I've even heard people say that slavery wasn't real. So now what we're doing is we're actually being detached from reality of what's really happening, meaning that we're not going to do anything to prevent or prepare for these types of events. That's dangerous. So on one hand, any person that makes it, any black person that makes it has to be worshiping the devil, have to be doing sacrifices, and anytime something happens to us, it's not really racism or it's not really even happening. Who does that really benefit? So I'm gonna go ahead and give a couple examples. Fuck it. But let's just talk about, rationally thinking this thing through, because sometimes you got to just talk these things out, see if it really makes sense. Now, let's say this brother, who apparently did have a patent related to making engines more efficient and being able to run with hydro energy. Why? That's cool. That's dope. Number one, there's already developments way further than what he had. Number two, if they really wanted to get him out the picture, there's other ways that could have happened. They could have isolated him and got him at home. They could have bought the patent from him, made sure it didn't come out, or it only came out when somebody that they wanted for it to come out, it comes out. Now we got to think like, who would do, would this be the government that would do this? No, because the government doesn't really benefit from that. It would have had to have been some type of Elon Musk, maybe. He didn't want to rival to his electric car. So now we got to really think like, who would really do this? Who would really benefit from this? And would there be other ways to do it that wouldn't cause such a disturbance and make it to where people could put these pieces together, if that's the case? Or we got to think common sense. It's very possible that he just happened to be there to catch the fade like everybody else that was there. Because because I'm sure, and I'm not trying to make this seem like I'm like being like, what do you call that? Not sensitive, unsympathetic to what's going on. But like, if you gather enough black people, like, and if we really believe that we are the gods and we're the creators and we're this and that, if you gather enough of us in one place, surely one of us has some type of genius that they're working on regardless. So it's possible that he was, he did have, so he obviously did have these patents. It's very, very possible that dude, and his whole plan was just to kill as many black people as he can. And that's what he did. And not because he was assigned to go kill that man and then to cover it up, kill 9 more people. Like, we're talking about catching bodies. We're talking about 10 bodies. Because now you're making yourself more vulnerable, to make mistakes or to get caught slipping and to be taken out yourself, which almost happened anyway. So I'm just saying there's other ways. We got to think it is possible that this person who just was on a mass murdering spree happened to get lucky and get someone who also had some things going on that would have hurt capitalists and major industries. But it's ridiculous for us to run with that as if that's the reason it happened. I'm going to tell you why. About a week later, what happened in Texas? It's a mass murderer who went into a school, killed like 15, 16 people. I think 19 people was the final count. 2 of them being teachers, the rest of them being children. Now, it's very possible that one of those teachers that was killed also had some type of invention or something going on that could have advanced society in a way that it could have been a detriment to capitalists and major industry tycoons. But do you really think in the midst of that, you're going to hear Hispanic people or Mexican people going on that rather than the fact that this person just massacred? You think they're going to say some goofy shit like, oh, that was a government plan because what they wanted to really do is kill this little baby because this baby had a genius chip in her and they knew that she was going to grow up and... No, come on, cut it out. Cut it out. It sounds goofy. It sounds dumb. Yes, there's real conspiracies. And there's so many real things going on that we don't have to focus and search for any stupid little thing that we can see that we could try to make a big thing out of. We don't have to do that because there's enough real shit happening out there. There's enough real challenges that we have that we don't have to go sifting for some goofy shit. Like I said, I understand when people first wake up, anything's possible. When you first start seeing what's really going on, when you really take that red pill, that blue pill, whatever pill it is that wakes you up to let you see what's in the matrix, anything's possible. And I wouldn't put anything past our government or evil white people or evil people, period. I wouldn't put nothing past them. But you got to walk through it and talk through it and see if it really makes sense. Now we're going to go to an example. Fuck it. A couple examples. Like I said, this is not, and this is to do with the gas power shit. So this is a post That was on Facebook. That, I dialogued on. And it says gas is going up. They're trying to push us into electric cars, which can be controlled and shut down easily. So a brother came up with a way for cars to run on water and made it public. Then where he worked just happened to be the place the Buffalo shooter goes in on a killing spree. Implying that that's the reason he went on a killing spree. And I'm saying there's such thing, coincidences do kind of happen. Sometimes. And then when I'm speaking with some people on it, saying, and I was just letting it be known because the implication from a lot of people that was commented on this, well, it's right here, electric cars, which can be controlled and shut down easily. Now let's look at that, because if that's the premise of this theory he's coming out with, then let's investigate that. Electric cars, which can be controlled and shut down easily. Like I said, critically thinking and analyzing is key. Analyzing means breaking down things. The public, usually in black neighborhoods, to see if someone tries to steal the car. And if they try to steal the car, they leave the keys in it. And if somebody jumped in to steal the car, once they hit a couple blocks, they shut down the car remotely from a different location. That's possible because, I think they actually rigged these cars like that. But really, any car, any computer can be hacked. So if your car has fuel injection, essentially it could be hacked. It could be remotely shut down. Your TV can be hacked. Smart TVs, yes. If somebody went through the trouble of hacking that shit, they could turn it on and off at will, change the channels at will from a remote location. Your phone could be hacked. A microwave could be hacked. Anything with a computer chip can be hacked. That's not to say anything that has an engine or a motor could be hacked, but anything with a computer chip can be hacked. If you have a smartwatch, that could be hacked. Your cars can be hacked. Your stereo system in your car can be hacked. They could shut down any newer vehicle if they wanted to go through the centralized this and that, and I'm in the crypto. I understand blockchain, and there's a reason for that. But some of this stuff is just kind of gets goofy. Now I'm just gonna pivot to this real quick because I want to end this. So, and this is goes on with what I was saying about, anytime we make it, there has to be some bullshit attached to it. Now, look, I'm not saying that there aren't coons out there that literally sell their soul. I don't know about really signing contracts in blood. It's all that goofy shit some of y'all are saying, but I get it. People really do sell their soul. People really do sell their morals, sell their principles, sell their manhood in order to make it. And I'm not even saying that Steve Harvey's not a coon. I'm not saying I agree with all of his moves or what he says and everything. But here's what I'm saying this. This is kind of what I highlight. This is a post that came and somebody put this post out. It says, trust your journey. At 27, Steve Harvey lived in his car for 3 years. He also had to bathe in hotel bathrooms with wet towels. Today, he's worth $200 million, is a multi-awarded host and a best-selling author. Things might be hard for you now, but keep going. So the basic message here Using Steve Harvey as an example, somebody went from homeless to over 200 million, almost a billionaire, or creeping up towards billionaire status, is that keep going. Don't give up on your shit. Keep grinding. Keep hustling. Believe in yourself. That's basically the message here. But of course, here's the goofy shit. No offense, brother, but he didn't grind for that. I think he has something to do with the killing sacrifice of Bernie Mac. I mean, make that make sense, though. I'm just saying, like we get into this goofy shit to the point to where it just don't make sense, and it makes us look dumb. And it undermines hard work. So somebody who would say this would be somebody who probably isn't doing good in life. So instead of grinding harder or figuring things out, or whatever it's going to take, whatever it takes to get there, what he's going to imply is that the only reason why Steve Harvey or other people make it is only because they're willing to make sacrifices, human ritual blood sacrifices, or they have to be gay, this and that. So I was just kind of going back and forth, blah, blah, a little bit, just tell him to stop it. And then, here's his response. He's telling, saying all this kind of shit, and then he's putting this on there, whether it be conspiracy theories, then whatever. And I get it. Like, I get it when people first started waking up and everything is everything and anything is possible. But you got to learn to process that. You got to learn to kind of process that and really think things through. Yes, there are weird things that happen in this world. Yes, there are conspiracy. Yes, there are certain things that are way beyond our even comprehension or what we can fathom about the evilness of this world. But every black person that makes it is not because of some sacrifice they made. So now we got to think, okay, so he's saying that Bernie Mac was sacrificed. Now, why was he sacrificed? What was the benefit to society or to white supremacy or whoever wanted him sacrificed for what benefit? He was a comedian. He wasn't like a political comedian. He didn't like have some plans that I know of to overthrow white supremacy, and he's trying to, why? For what? Oh, because that's how they level up in the Illuminati. You got to sacrifice someone close to you, and then they'll cut it out. Stop it. He was homeless at 27, long before he knew Bernie Mac and all that. It's just like, it just doesn't make sense. But it's a good excuse for those who don't want to grind. It's a good excuse for those who can't excuse for that. So they're basically saying, well, since I won't do this and that, I won't sacrifice this and that, that's why I can't make it. Because how come people don't say this about white people that make it? It's hard work, dedication, this and that. But when it's us, it has to be something else. Even though we are the original man, we're the gods, we're the kings, we're this and that, except for when we make it. And then it has to be because they did a sacrifice. And it's goofy. And I don't know if sometimes it's just trolling, fake accounts. I know sometimes it is that. But we got to start looking at things a little bit, differently and just kind of like, taking it to that next level. So really, I just want to kind of do this for those who are kind of waking up and kind of seeing these different things, just so you don't jump off a cliff with too much of this. Let me real quick. Let me take this down. Just so you don't jump off a cliff with too much of this shit. You know what I'm saying? You believe in God, give God the glory sometimes. You believe that we are the greatest, we are the kings, we are the first, then believe that for real. You understand that, shit could be bad. And there ain't no guarantees to success, but there are guarantees to failure. And we got to think on a whole different level to understand the real threats out there. But we don't have to create fugazi, weirdo shit. We have enough challenges already to deal with. And we should enjoy success, and we should celebrate success. Even if you don't like the person, celebrate the grind and be inspired by that instead of having contempt or resentment when you see that. It's a whole different mentality. Shout out to Knowing. Keep freezing. Oh, okay. It's going in and out. All right. Let me go ahead and end this then. But anyway, I appreciate you watching regardless. Appreciate the new subscribers. But I just want to kind of do this exercise on conspiracy theories, propaganda, because understand a lot of this is propaganda. These things are like purposely put out there to undermine us, undermine what we go through. You know what I'm saying? So now all of a sudden this Buffalo shooting isn't a hate crime. It's just they just wanted to kill this man for creating a water powered vehicle or whatever. By the way, they didn't do any kind of anti-black hate crime bills. They only did one for so-called Jews or the whatever, for anti-Semitism. But a lot of times what we do is we actually give assist to these type of things. We're feeding these alley-oops to these cats when we say goofy shit like, oh yes, it was just all about he made a water power this and that. No, it wasn't. Dude wanted to kill black people. He modeled himself after Dylan Roof and other white supremacist, violent racists. Keep it there. Anyway, I'm out. Peace. Thanks for watching. Catch me next time.